So what do now? This feels like a question I have been asking myself for weeks, and the truth is I just don't know. There are a number of reasons for this, from the state of the world, the endless onslaught of AI content, a midlife crisis mixed with ongoing untreated depression which seems to have been in progress for about a decade now, my undiagnosed ADHD continually causing me problems as I find out more and more about myself and continually fail to fill out the forms required and book a doctor's appointment to start the process of diagnosis. And on top of it all, my day job suddenly becoming very busy and very stressful and compounding all of the aforementioned things. All of these things feel like stacking debuffs on me, and the work situation just feels like the straw that broke the camel's back. Only it's not a straw, it's more like an anvil. But the thing that really fucks me off the most is that all of that has really killed my creativity, or rather my drive to create. Everything feels kind of pointless, and I have just felt too emotionally drained to do anything other than retreat to the safe and unchallenging loop of leveling in classic World of Warcraft. I can't even be bothered to play new video games because paying attention to some kind of story or actually learning how to play a new game just feels insurmountable. Another thing that has slowed me down so much lately, and this is definitely linked to ADHD, is the sheer indecision about exactly what I should do, especially when it comes to this channel. I started off years ago just uploading stream clips, and then maybe a few years later I decided that I would actually start making properly edited and scripted content, which I enjoy. So I started making videos about video games, bearing in mind that that is also something I enjoy. But such is my desire to always do something new, I keep changing direction, which is not really conducive to building an audience. And to be honest, whilst I would like to build an audience, this channel has never really been about anything other than fulfilling my own creative pursuits. I would like to build a community of like-minded individuals, I think that would be nice, but it has never been about fame or even anything close to it. If I am honest, there is a little part of me that would love to be able to turn something like this into some kind of modest living. But that is more to do with my dissatisfaction with my job and this late-stage capitalist world in general. The dream of just being able to spend my days immersed in my creativity rather than struggling to conform to a world that I feel increasingly ill-suited to the older I get. But just like everyone else, when YouTube once again changed their algorithm and fucked everyone's views, my views went down as well. Not that I had many to begin with, but I just couldn't seem to catch the small amount of views that I was before, even if I chased a trend. And by chased a trend, I just mean I did a video about a newly released game or something. I wasn't exactly studying how to get ahead or doing anything that didn't actually interest me purely in the pursuit of views, because I always knew that wouldn't lead to anything sustainable or enjoyable. So seeing as things stagnated, I just decided to start using the channel to get things off my chest. I am a very political person and I have a lot to say about a lot of things going on in the world, so I decided to have a pop at that. But if we cycle back to the very beginning of the video where I listed my laundry list of woes, that just became very depressing very fast. Taking flack off right-wing pricks in the comments gets old fast and was probably never a good idea for someone who is actually probably suffering from depression, so I stopped. And now I can't quite figure out what to do. Recently I was watching the Descendants documentary Filmage, and there is a part where Milo Ackerman talks about the fact that he wanted to be a punk and rock out, but he also wanted to be a biochemist and cure the world. He called it a dichotomy of desires, and that is how I kind of feel, although I seem to have way more than just two desires fighting inside me. This has always been an issue. I have accrued several creative skills and pastimes across my life. My first was art, and because I found it easy, I was good at it and everyone always told me to do art, I rebelled and learned the guitar in my teenage years. I've dabbled in writing, game development, photography, and more recently video making, which is something where I can sort of use all of these skills to some degree. Over the years I have collected a battery of equipment for screen printing, tattooing, spray painting and more besides, Never really being able to stick to one thing, always seemingly searching for the next novelty. And I now understand that that is probably as much to do with neurodivergence than anything else, but I've always been kind of frustrated by my inability to stick with things. I always wished that I only had one interest, one main skill so that I could really hone it. When I should have been making art, I wanted to make music and vice versa. And as I now learn more about ADHD and dopamine, that makes sense to me, the need for novelty. So that is like the first half of what is holding back my creativity, what creates the indecision which impacts my ability to act, not knowing what exactly it is I should do with this channel. I've always liked the idea of celebrating creativity in some way, maybe doing something positive, but what does that look like in practice? I kind of want to share my feelings about things like my journey into understanding myself and neurodivergence in middle-aged as a white cis man. And if me using those words upset you in some kind of way, well then maybe this isn't the channel for you, which is fine. There are plenty more blowhards on the internet. Some part of me thinks there is some value in that, but again, what does that look like? Maybe I'm just a narcissist. What if I start down that path and then change my mind yet again? It is clear that I need novelty, and if only a very small amount of people are even watching these videos, then I may as well just do whatever I feel like, whatever that looks like. But along with all the indecision, another issue at the moment is AI, especially in creative spaces. I made a video about my objection to AI and my thoughts around trying to come to terms with it, but with platforms like YouTube being flooded by that type of content, it has become dispiriting. I'm going to make a video, which I've already written half the script for, about the Suno AI music service and my experience with it, where a friend fed a simple recording on my phone of me playing some song ideas on my guitar. Without my knowledge, may I add, I ain't touching that shit, but the results that came back were kind of terrifying. I'll go into more detail about that in the video to follow, but it is just another thing that makes me think in the dark recesses of my mind, why bother? And indeed, why bother? Why bother creating anything in this modern world? The powers that govern us, the systems that we have no choice but to exist within, seem to want to cheapen and strip all emotion and meaning from human creativity. I don't know how many songs I have written, pictures I have created, photos I have taken, stories I have started, hundreds, thousands. Does any of it mean anything? Okay, so that was all very doom and gloom, but maybe a better question to ask myself in the face of feeling creatively unmotivated and worn out is the same question. Does it really matter? What I mean is, what's wrong with just not doing stuff for a while? What's wrong with just taking a break, logging into Azeroth and grinding some XP? Because a whole lifetime of creating has always been for me and no one else, and despite what thoughts come into my head, that is never going to change, and I am never going to stop wanting to create something. So much of what we do is about the process, the journey, if you will. Last year I went to see a friend perform a sort of three-person experimental interpretational drama performance, and it really resonated with me. He had repeating themes of struggle and perseverance. At points, the performers literally threw themselves to the ground again and again and got back up, which became almost uncomfortable watching them hurl their bodies down, becoming bruised and battered for their art, but always getting back up. It was their first performance after years away from the craft, to a crowd of 30 in a small London theatre. I don't know what everyone else in that room was thinking whilst watching it. All I could think of was every gig where one of my various bands had essentially paid to play, all the money we had spent on rehearsals and instruments just to perform to a handful of people. Sure, we all probably had fanciful dreams of being a rock star somewhere, but the real reason we did it was the journey. We did it for us. I did it for me. And so this channel will be a place for my thoughts about creativity, about my experiences, about things that delight me and things that make me sad, about life, Just like when I talk unscripted, the video topics will probably jump around all over the place as I search for novelty and something to inspire me or get something out of me and off my chest. Sometimes they might be a bit depressing, like this video, and other times enthusiastic and celebratory, a reflection of my eclectic mind. Maybe sometimes that will strike a chord with someone else. I don't consider myself to be a particularly wise or intelligent man, just a man who thinks too much, and hopefully my little thought pieces can spark a conversation in others. And however trite, and maybe I am talking to myself here, I think it's okay to not be okay. If you are creative, if you have a surplus of empathy, if you struggle with the world around you and knowing yourself, then let's talk about it in the comments. But whatever you do, do it for yourself.